On this show, we break down event mastery, what to do before, during, and after an event to run the best event, not just in real estate. If you're listening to this, you can get this for your birthday parties or your church events. Like, there is a formula that Aaron Luden, who is Orlando Branding Agency, a franchise owner in Orlando, one of our top franchisees in the history of real producers. He consistently gets hundreds of people to show up to his events. He keeps getting bigger and better. He just sent me this text about like champagne bottles hanging from the ceiling. He didn't start there though. So in the show, we break down what is important to the people who are attending the events and how to consistently do events well every single time. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Remington Ramsey. As always, I want to remind you that we are growing because you share this podcast with people you love, because it is that good. And it's that good because of guests like Mr. Aaron Luden. Aaron Luden has been on the show in the past. He is the Orlando branding guru, past real estate, the all-knowing Mr. Wonderful Aaron Luden. How's it going, man?
That's a hell of an intro.
I know, right? I've been working on it. I will tell you that we've had a lot of killer names on the show. We've had authors, speakers, the top 1% of realtors. But I got to be honest, my favorite episodes are with our own people, a top 5 franchise. You've been with us nearly 10 years now. You just celebrated your 100th issue. That's got to feel pretty good.
That's fun. Feels like the 7th issue and the 70th and the 80th. You know, it's a cool number, but it's just a number.
Yeah. Well, you've had massive success, and we talk often about all the things in the business, but where we lead back to many times is the events. And I wanted to have you on the show specifically to talk about event mastery and why events still matter. You were doing events before Real Producers, and then now within the Real Producers brand, top 5 franchise, just not only in revenue for all the products, but also like attendance at events and the amount of eyeballs and people that are engaged, elite. And we were talking, just the other day about like why that matters, why people are still attending events, why that's a big part of people's business. And I just wanted to start there and ask you, why do you feel like events are so crucial?
Well, I think that people want to get together. I mean, we're social creatures. It's the same reason. I mean, why are people parts of societies, and why don't we just live in caves by ourselves? You know, people want to be around people. They want to connect with, network with, be around people, hear about other people's problems, talk about theirs, talk about solutions. They want to get together and congregate. So I think we're just communal creatures by nature. And, for me, I loved doing Zoom meetings and events. I'm like the weird one who, like, if we could do that all day and people were actually on everywhere and I could interact with everyone because everyone stayed in a virtual world, like I could do it, but most people couldn't. And you can see that now, because if you go to a Zoom event or a virtual seminar, the attendance just isn't what it was in 2020, 2021, and you see events now with hundreds of people. Real estate's back to having big conferences and people are showing up and people want to shake hands and be in the room and, be around people. And I think, we've literally witnessed the proof of that,
So what's the difference between the events that they're attending and the events that they're not attending? Because there definitely are events that you'll go to and the vibe is off. There's nobody there. And that's the fear of someone hosting an event. I'm not just talking about from the real producer's perspective. If I'm a realtor, if I'm a vendor, and I'm thinking about hosting an event, there's some real fear behind throwing an event and nobody showing up. You haven't had that problem for quite some time, and I'm wondering what the difference is.
This is such a great question. I'll try to unpack it and let me know if I skip something, because this one kind of gets me going in so many different ways. Number one, it starts with the energy you bring the people around you, the energy you bring the world. Like if people were writing stuff down, I'd be like, write this down. Leaders take responsibility for the energy they bring the world. I'll say it again, leaders. So if you would consider yourself a leader, be like, yeah, I'm a leader. Leaders take responsibility for the energy they bring the world. So the number one thing I think is the energy you bring to your event. Let's be honest. If you and I hosted something and we brought the energy we're about to bring this podcast, people would be like, yeah, I'd hang out with them. That'd be cool.
True.
They don't need to see 200 other people. They need to see that we look like we're having fun. So number one is it's the energy you bring to the group. If you have 7 people that don't know each other sitting around a table at dinner or at lunch or at breakfast or at a movie or at you name the thing, but the energy's right, are you going to be like, man, I wish there were 12 people? Or are you going to go home and be like, dude, I had a really good time. I met some cool people. So I think it starts with the energy you and the people around you bring. That's number one. The thing that when they go to events, the reason people don't go to events, let's go into that first before we talk about why they do. Because don't is way more common. They don't go to events because the energy they don't want to be around.
Ooh.
So I know that sounds really simplistic. So glad everyone came to learn something today. Right? But they don't want to be around certain energy. So if you're a bottom feeder of the industry, let's just use that term. Or if you're giving the vibe that you're a bottom feeder of the industry, maybe you're awesome, but you're like doing low value behavior, like pushing your card in someone's face, or like trying to sell your stuff when they don't care yet, or they don't know who you are, or they're not connected to you, or they're not interested. Like, it's just like online. If there's not a hook, or on a stage, if there's not a hook that catches your attention, there's no reason to be talking about your business. In fact, I'll say that there is what I like to call an initiation to having a conversation about your service or product. And the initiation is their invitation to talk about it. Now, they're not going to say, hey, Remington, I invite you to talk about your product now. But they are going to essentially cue you by saying something like, hey, what do you do? Hey, tell me about what you do. Or, hey, wait, tell me about what you do for them. Or, I think you do this. Tell me about that.
So you're saying wait
you to talk about it.
You're saying wait until they do that.
Yeah, a lot of people, they go into a thing and they just like word vomit all over people. They go, hey, by the way, you sell real estate. Let me tell you about me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, imagine if we went out and we were like, hey, you're attractive. I'm single. Let me tell you about me. It'd be really awkward. So I think that one of the things people don't realize is like the energy that they're bringing to things, determines whether or not people want to be around them, and also determines whether people want to be are repelled by them. So your average networking event is just full of people that are there trying to network. They want to get something. They're not looking for something to give. They're not looking to help people out. They're not looking to just be present and be authentic. They're looking to like go sell something or go get something or meet someone that's going to do everything for them usually. And people can sense that, especially producers.
Man, I used to make that mistake. Just to pause you for a second, I used to make that mistake. The first thing I would do is, identify who I want to meet in the room. And then I'd be so excited to get the intro because I'm like, here's my chance. They're just going to love me. And I got to sell them right now because I'm going to lose my opportunity. And I never planted seeds. I just hit them thinking I was planting seeds, but really I was just trying to drive it into them like that business card in their face. What do you think about business cards in general? Do you still use them?
I haven't even made a business card since opening Real Producers, and that was 10 years ago. So yeah, I not only don't carry them, I literally don't have them. I don't own them. Now we are in a different type of role. To be fair, like if I was an agent, I'd have business cards. They'd be cool.
Okay. Makes sense.
I might not push them on people, but I wouldn't not have a card. In our line of work, I'm kind of like, I don't want to say this is going to sound terrible, but I'm already saying it. So I kind of feel like if you can't find me, then that you should disqualify yourself from being a part of our group. Like if you can't find me, if you're not resourceful enough to find me, and again, if I get your info, I'm going to find you anyway. I'm going to shoot you an email or follow up. But if like I have no interest in sending you something, then you might not get something, but you still want to reach me. You got to at least be able to find me. If you can't find me, and I didn't want to talk to you, I'm not trying to make it easy for you. I feel like I'm pretty social. I'm pretty active. And if you're pretty connected in the Orlando real estate world or the Space Coast real estate world, you either know me, know someone that knows me, or at least know what direction to go to find me. And I don't know, it's a little bit strange.
It's different for different people. Like if you're a vendor, you need to have a card because you need to have every opportunity possible for someone to find you.
Exactly.
And not have any bottlenecks. But it is different for different people depending on the relationship. You need to go where they want you to be to find you.
Exactly. And we run an exclusive club, so it's like very different, I would say, than like a very public facing business, which is like if we were selling magazines at the grocery store to everyone that goes by, I'd want everyone to know us and everyone to see it. We run an elite, exclusive thing. So it's a little bit different, but I do think the way people use business cards is a bigger part of the problem. People use them like they're collecting baseball cards, like they're collecting something or like they're going to get a prize for getting the most at a event.
Right here.
How many places do you still have stacks of cards in or around your office, your house, your whatever? Most people would say a lot. And
Mine are stacked right here. I've even got a little gift card to a restaurant stacked with it.
See, I like to follow up with them enough that I have a good conversation. I rip the card in half and I throw it in the trash and I get that out of my life and the person into my phone and the person onto my social. So like, if I haven't had a good enough conversation, then maybe I still have their card around. But once we've had, quality combos, I've got all your stuff in my phone. I've got you online. You've got me. I don't need to carry this piece of paper around and that's with one exception. That is like, let's say I run into you on the street and I need a reminder about, you're like, oh, send me the thing for the podcast. I'll be like, all right, hey, give me your card real quick. And when I go home and I pull up my pocket and I'm like, oh yeah, I have Remington's card to send him that thing. There's a time and a place for it.
Let's get back to the mistakes that organizers make when they're running their events. You said the vibe is off. It's going to be bad right off the bat. But what about the tactical things?
People. Like, people aren't looking to meet people for the sake of meeting people. We just go along with this business cards thing. Like, we're not in a contest to collect the most relationships. We're in a place where we want more quality relationships or more certain types of relationships. So I think that a lot of events, they're not fishing with the right bait, if you will, to get the right fish that their people want. So what I mean by that is, like, our advertisers, they want the whales of the real estate industry. They're not looking for the guppies. So if we're using bait that catches guppies, we're probably not going to get whales. And that's a metaphor, but it's really something that, like, boards make the mistake of. They run an event, they want it to fill, but they don't use any of the things that are appealing or alluring to the agents they want it to fill with. So like, if we want to run something for the top agents, it needs to be exclusive, because they don't want to mess with the guppies. They want to mess with the whales. So like, one of the things to do is play to ego or competitiveness, play to exclusivity, play to eliteness, play to value, specific value to their business. You're going to sell more because this is going to be there. But other people, they come for different reasons. There's this thing in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you look at this, I got to give a shout out to Kevin Nations, who really taught me about this. But Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you were to pull it up, you actually sell to the level that somebody's on. So there are people that are, just trying to figure out, like, there are agents. Let's just say I'm running an event for agents. There are agents right now that don't know where next month or maybe next quarter's check is going to come from. They're concerned about whether they're going to sell in 90 days. Those are very different agents than the ones who are concerned that their investor clients aren't getting the rates they want and they're making a few less purchases, but they're still going to sell 100 homes. They just might not sell 125 or something. Like, they're different conversations. Or the people that are saying, hey, I really want to grow and hire 12 people, but it looks like the market's only dictating we can hire 10. Those are different problems than, like, I'm not sure I'm going to have food next month or pay my mortgage in 2 months.
Right.
And so the types of bait, if you will, or the marketing appeal is actually different for the different people, is what I'm trying to say. Like,
hey, can I ask you a question? Because we say that a lot. I totally buy. I mean, this is our whole model, is making sure that we're connecting vendors with the realtors who are actually doing the business, so that they're not wasting time with people who waste their time. But what do you think about planting seeds and spending time with someone who's not quite doing the business yet, someone who's brand new? Like, how much time should a vendor be spending, like, talking to someone who's brand new in the business or not quite good at it yet?
Depends what they want to do for a living. I mean, my answer is none. I'm biased. I'm extra extreme on this, but my answer is, unless you got in the business to be a free consultant, then I don't think that you should be spending most of your time on free consulting with a potential payoff someday. Now, if you want to be a coach or leader or sales trainer, guide, you should get into coaching. You should go be a team leader. You should go literally run an office where your job is to help handhold the agents. But for me, if my job is to sell title insurance, then my job is not to handhold agents and teach them how to sell so that someday I can get title insurance. My job is to go sell title insurance. So for me, if I believe in what I do and the value and the service I provide, this could be as an agent or a vendor. If I really believe in the value as a realtor, like, I'm better than other people, I'm going to market your home more professionally. I'm going to pull out all the stops, be more responsive, a better negotiator. If I'm going to do that, then I'm doing you a disservice if I'm not marketing myself enough to find you. Meaning, like, if I'm going to serve you better, Remington, but I'm too lazy to make the phone call or spend the dollars on marketing or do the activity to win your listing and be your realtor, then you're going to go use someone else. And that person's more likely to cut corners, to bring less energy, to have less enthusiasm, to be less effective. And to me, that's a disservice to both of us. So the way that I kind of see it, and kind of to circle back, is like, for an agent, or for a vendor, they need to realize like if they're bringing a lot of value to that person, then figuring out how to be in a place where someone that's actually doing the business, like if you're really good at title, touching more title is going to make you serve the world better. If you're really good at mortgages, actually writing more mortgages means you get to help more people. Teaching an agent to someday need the one mortgage you're going to do really well, to me, seems like immensely devaluing your time. And there's nothing against up and coming agents or coaching. I just think that's a different space than business development.
Yeah.
And that's not where my business development time is spent. My job, if I'm trying to feed the village, my job is to catch fish that can feed the village. And
I like that answer. So to get back to the events, then what is the measure of success past the attendance number? Because I think that, and maybe that is the only measure of success. I'm curious.
Every event's kind of different, because in the end of the day, every event has a different goal. So sometimes there's width and sometimes there's depth. So for example, when we do our awards gala, we want it to be large. We want there to be a lot of people. But because we know we're going to run out of space, we're going to sell like 600 tickets, and there's only space for that. We're now pickier about not just selling the tickets, selling them to the right people. So if I have an up-and-coming agent who's like, I want to bring my 20 team members, I'm like, well, bring your top 2 or 3. I got 40 other teams that sell more than your team that also want to bring their 40 team members, and they can't either. So just kind of using an example, or like maybe my title partner wants to bring 5 people. Well, I got 12 title companies. I don't think anybody wants to deal with 75 title people at the same event, or 200 lenders, and I'm just using examples like we love our lenders and we love our title, but there are things that need to be kept into consideration. So who's in the room? Let's backtrack to the big picture. Who's in the room? What energy are you bringing to the people? What value is your event trying to give? So if it's just having really intimate conversations, like if I said, hey, Remington, why don't you come to this event? I'm going to have the top 5 agents in the city at a dinner. I'll introduce you to all of them. You're not going to be like, man, only 5.
Right.
Right. But if I'm like, hey, come to this awesome party, it's going to be this huge party, it's going to be super exciting. There's only 5 of us, but it's going to be great. That has a different feel.
Sure.
So I think, again, it depends what you're doing. So there's width and there's depth. So we want to make a big splash. We want to have a big event. That's width. Depth is being able to go deep with the people with quality conversations. So we like to run, like some of my favorite events are 12 or 15 person content days, or we're just doing photo shoots and having little conversations, and they pop off for 15 minutes with a photographer, and we're all hanging out. We got a few of our, sponsors and whatnot, and we're just connecting people with each other. But they don't take the place of a large event, because in the end of the day, me having a dinner with 4 people doesn't get seen. It doesn't generate a buzz. It doesn't create new connections beyond like the 4 for those people. And that's if they didn't know anyone. So there's value exchange on doing things to scale, and there's value exchange about going deeper with somebody. So it comes down to like setting the goals at the start, but it's really who you're marketing to. What are you marketing with? So let's put this in perspective for the agents watching this. Let's say I'm running an event for a neighborhood. I need to first decide, what kind of neighborhood is this? If I'm running it for like a bougie, high-end, multi-million-dollar properties, gated neighborhood, then that's a little bit different than running it for a starter home, new construction, first home, few $100,000 max. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
You have a different type of person. So maybe that person just wants free entertainment for their kids. So like a movie night and just doing it might be enough. The nice neighborhood needs it to appeal to their bouginess, or they want it to be exclusive. This is exclusively for this neighborhood, and it's going to be, everyone's going to be there, and it's you. And, again, like we're not looking at it. I don't want to go on to the hierarchy, because we could do a whole call on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but people that are looking for, esteem are very different than people that are looking for security, or people that are looking for camaraderie. Like there's people that want to sing Kumbaya with their guitars and just be around people, and then there's people that like just want to be left alone, and they want to do things that are valuable. So I think it comes down to analyzing your audience. That's really what I'm trying to get at. In the real estate world, it's the same way. There's up and coming agents. There's agents that just happen to have a license and don't know where their next meal is coming from, and there's agents that sell at a high level, and then there's agents that sell at such a high level they think they're such hot, like they're really hard to appeal to, because they've got a whole life built. They've done this for decades. And the different levels require different types of conversations.
By the way, to
marketing.
that point, I would urge anyone on the vendor side, because I was a vendor, you were a vendor, we're still technically vendors, coaching vendors. I would urge you to consider the person that you're calling on, the amount of effort it will take to call on them, because there's times where someone is very talented at selling real estate, but not someone that you want to do business with. And we don't always realize that until we finally get their business. And we're like, this is a nightmare. I should have just been totally cool calling on people that are like me, that are doing the business the right way and not just looking at the numbers.
Sure.
So coming back
I
go
think
ahead.
you mentioned something there. Like I have people that, for example, look up everyone in the room and they try to pick who they want. The truth is, till you have a relationship, you're not really sure who you want. You know who you might want to target, but you don't really know who the right client for you is, like you're saying, till you know the person.
Right.
So I would also not just caution people to make sure that they're paying attention to data, but on the flip side, make sure that they're staying open-minded to the fact that the data doesn't tell the whole story. It tells a piece of the story you need to know. Like, you need to know that so-and-so has 0 transactions, but you also need to not prejudge that this person's more valuable than that person because you see more on paper. You might have a way better conversation with that person over there, but keep in mind that you want all the info.
All right, so here's what I want to do with the remaining time we have, because I feel like this is going to be stellar content, which is event formula. The way I've always taught it is you got to pay attention to before the event, during the event, and after the event. Before the event is all the promotion and driving attendance. So I want to get your event formula for that. And this is all purpose, right? Is if you're a realtor, if you're a vendor, or if you're just someone who stumbled upon this and you just want to throw better events, like, there is a formula. Then what are we doing at the event to nail the experience? And then afterwards, how do we capitalize on it so that our next event is better? So let's break it down into the 3 steps. And I'm just curious, let's start with before the event. What should I be doing to drive attendance, and what else should I be thinking about leading up to the event?
So the first thing I would say is you have to stack the deck. What do I mean by that? There's a lot of people that are like just going to do an event and they're like, I hope it goes well. You're like, yeah, I hope so too. I don't do events that I don't know are going to go well. That doesn't mean that I'm positive that I know exactly how they're going to go, but I've stacked the deck enough that I know they're going to go well. So for example, we run an awards gala. I don't worry if anyone's going to show up. There are 173 automatic winners and 120 finalists competing for 20 other awards. And some of those finalists are 20-person brokerages or 75-person teams. So let's just put it mildly. There's 400 or 500 direct people that could be impacted by just the awards part of it. Then I have 90 advertising companies that have 2 or 3 reps each. And you get what I'm saying. So
and this is all to scale, by the way. Like, this is all to scale. Like, you throw some of the most massive events, even in our company.
And it has to be done to the scale that you're aiming for. Like, you've got to stack the deck. So we don't always do that, but we came up with all this stuff because I was trying to fill the Hard Rock Live. Years ago, we booked Hard Rock. It was way too big, and I was like, this is going to look empty if I don't give a lot more awards away. And it's like a high school graduation. How do you have 3,000 people at a high school graduation? I don't know. Pick a school that has over 3,000 graduates. So it's kind of a joke, but it's like schools don't worry about filling their graduations, do they? No, because everyone wants to go to it, and they have enough people, and they know that the majority are going to go. So I would say stack the deck. So number 1 is figuring out, like, what do your people actually want? Not just like, I want to do an event, so let's fill it. Let me push. When it starts with what's in it for you, you tend to be at a disadvantage. So one of the mistakes that a lot of the industry organizations make is they start with them wanting to do an event for themselves. So they're like, hey, we're such and such organization. We're ABC group of realtors. We want to do a party. Please come support us. Please come join our ABC club. We really need your membership. We need your support. We start with the opposite. We start with what's in it for them. So just using Real Producers as an example, we're like, hey, so-and-so, we see you're selling a ton. We want to put you on the cover of a magazine, celebrate you, do really quality photos, do video and marketing and shout outs on social, and send you out to everyone, tell them you're one of the best agents ever, and there's nothing to sell you. There's no cost. And it's like, they're like, all right, cool. And we're like, by the way, we're going to have a party that celebrates you. You don't have to come, but we are going to be celebrating you along with a couple other agents there. We're going to, like, I don't know, blow up giant covers and frames. So you get the idea. So it's like we stack the deck in a way that makes sense. We're not just like, we want to do a party about us. Please come.
So you have built-in tickets built-in tickets, built-in attendance from people who are going to be honored at that thing, and that is, a core concept of everything that we do for our events. But what else? What else are you doing to stay in front? So, like, what if I don't know about it? I think some people get lost in the weeds of like where to market this. Do we put it on billboards? Do we only post to Facebook? Do we send emails? Like, how? What does your marketing look like leading up?
The answer is always all of them. It's got to be multidimensional. This is another mistake people make. Like if we were making a list, the other mistake they make is they don't do well with the communication. This is a twofold. Number one is on their actual list. Like they're mailing, but they're bad addresses. They're texting, but they're not good numbers. They're emailing, but they're sending it from an email that doesn't deliver well to an email that's not checked. They're making the mistake of assuming. I would say this is better. They are assuming that their data is good enough to fill the event if they just check the box of sending the emails or mailing the thing. I'm assuming my data did not work. So just to be clear, I'm constantly finding ways to scrub my data and make sure that it's good. And we could have a whole call on scrubbing your data better. But let's just say, like, I already know I've done all these things to make my list way more effective than most, right? We're constantly updating it, giving people reasons to need to update it, to be mad that their stuff wasn't right, that they didn't get something in the mail or their email. And they're like, why didn't I get this? And they send us the stuff. So we're constantly like doing that. But we always market an event from the assumption that they did not see the email, get the text, see the Facebook. So we're doing all the things. So I post in a private group, I email it out, I text it out, I email it from multiple databases. You know, I don't rely on one. So if your email and my bomb don't like each other, it's cool because my bonzo will hit your inbox. And if you don't like my bonzo, when I do a mail merge from Gmail, it's going to work. Or I'm just using examples, by the way. Or you unsubscribe from my list here, that's fine. You're on that list here. You know, that's kind of how I see it. Now, there are different lists for different things. Like we send different, like we do master classes, private parties, or like we do different events, but I send them from different databases. So if you're tired of getting invited to the master class every month, that doesn't mean you're not going to get your ranking to start the year that you actually might want. You just might not want to come learn from other agents.
Sure.
Does that make sense? So we've learned to segment where the marketing comes from and then to send it with all of them. So we're text blasting, we're email blasting, we're tagging them. And then the biggest one is personal invites. This is where most people screw up. And this is the big like nugget. If you've tuned everything out and you're wondering how to make your next party good, your next party's attendance will be directly correlated to the number of people that you personally invite and the number of times you do it in an authentic way.
Is this calls, text, live? What is that?
Anything that comes off authentic and personal.
Okay.
So it doesn't need to be super personal. Like, Remington, how's your whole family? Like, I know you're, okay, you get what I'm saying? Like, that's one thing that's like extra, but it's got to be something like, I shoot a text that says, hey, Remington, just want to make sure you know about this thing. We would love to see you there. And I might send that to 6 different people. They might get the same message that is personal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just done personally. And it's about the number of people that will feel, man, Remington's going to know if I didn't come. Or Remington's going to notice if I don't make it. Or Remington wants me to be there. And I do want them to be there. But I also want to make sure that all 200 people that I want to be there have heard from me over the course of X number of weeks. So if my event is a month away, and I want 600 people there, let's just say, I'm probably going to say, okay, I've got 30 days. Let me make sure that twice a day I'm sending 10 people a message, or once a day I'm sending this to 20 people.
It's worth the extra effort to nail it. Like that's the key to this entire show is like it's worth it that much to get those people there. And this is a good transition because now, so you've told us exactly what to do to get people there. Now people are there. Where do people screw up when the event actually happens to where it's not run the way they were hoping to and people don't show up to the next one? Like, how do you make sure the event itself, regardless of what it is, because we've talked about awards banquets, we've talked about like lunches, what is the most important thing that needs to happen at the event to make sure it was a successful event?
So I think that one thing is the experience is obviously a big part, huge part of it. I think a lot of people, I think it comes in one of two extremes, the mistakes. They either don't value the experience enough, and it's like they go to an event, and let's just say that I go to this party. Like I went to this event, it was a big real estate event. They got all these people involved, and you showed up, and it was like the VIP was a bunch of people around a keg, like adults around a keg, and like the bar had little pixie cups that they were pouring like bottom shelf liquors. It was just not a good experience where you're like, okay, these are like high quality people for a low quality experience they would never pay for, maybe couldn't even pay them to go do again. So I think that like, the experience is one of two extremes. It's either really bad or the event planner is so into experience that they're so into being creative and they're so into the colors and the theme and the idea and the concept that they're not effective. So they're like, yeah, we have this really cool theme and you have to dress up like this and all the centerpieces look great, but it doesn't really make it more fun and doesn't make the right people come. Like they didn't come because you called it Havana Nights, and told them to wear, a Cuban shirt or something. They came because the party sounded good. And
that's the most Florida. That's the most Florida event I've ever heard, by the way.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. I was like, like a Cuban. I was thinking like y'all aren't gonna know what I'm talking about. So, but like a party that has a theme, someone will say, "Oh, let's do a tropical island luau." And, they're like, we're going to spend all the money on hula dancers and grass skirts and all this other stuff that not one person on the invite list or the attendee list is saying they want or need. Like, they're
so know your audience.
I really want to go to a grass skirt hula event.
Okay. Let me pause you for a second. That is exactly what I was trying to get at. If you are not taking feedback from the people who are attending your thing, you're missing the boat. And you can do that before, during, and after. If you're not calling people to say, hey, would this be cool? Like when I first started doing events, I literally called the people that I wanted to attend and said, would you care about this time of day? Would you like this food? And I asked them all the questions before I actually did it because I knew the answers. Why are you trying to do something that you don't know is going to stick? Find out ahead of time so you don't make that mistake.
Yeah. Can I bounce something off of you? Do you think agents would like an event that looks like this? Do you think agents would come to an event that looks like that? Hey, if I sent you an email that sounds like this and marketed this thing, would you show up? They're the easiest questions to ask.
It really is.
But people either aren't asking those questions or worse, they're asking the wrong people. They got in with someone that is not giving them good advice. And they're like, well, Johnny said it was a dumb idea. And you're like, did you ask 10 people that weren't like Johnny?
No doubt, man. When we first came out with the magazine, I remember someone saying, because it was brand new, it was in the first 3 months and there was nothing national. It was just one magazine. I would have vendors who I was like, hey, you need to be a part of this. So like, I'm going to talk to the realtors first. And they would call me back and be like, no one's heard of this. And I was like, who'd you ask? I was like, yeah, those aren't realtors that are on the list. Like, why would you ask those people? They're not coming to the events. It was, I totally get it.
I had the same thing. I had a guy over here saying, I called 8 realtors I work with and none of them had read your thing. And I was like, that just means none of your realtors in the top 300.
Yeah, it means you need to work on your database.
Here's what's even funnier. I was like, dude, you were referred to me by a top 300 agent. That's literally how I met you, is someone in the magazine who probably read it because she's in it, sent me your way. But people are ridiculous, man. That's just how it is. So
last question, hold on because I want to make sure we get to RP Elevate because you're speaking at RP Elevate. It's our first national event. I'm very excited about this. But the last question I have before we get into that is, what do you do after the event? You host an event, you nail it. Now what do I do?
One other thing I want to make sure I say about during. I think that during, most people get caught up thinking that their job is to go like entertain everybody. And my job is to keep the event running and to make sure that it's maximized. So if all of a sudden all your people are in one spot, my job is to make sure they're all consistently meeting people, introducing each other. So if I see, I'm scanning the room, I'm like, if so-and-so's in the corner talking to nobody, I'm going to go grab them and be like, hey, you need to meet this person.
Yeah.
Because I'm not there for me. I think one mistake people make is they go to an event and then they're trying to be the social butterfly of the thing. They want to be like, what's the, I won't say, but they want to be the belle of the ball or whatever it's called, but they want to be the center of it. It's like, I don't want to be that. I want to be the puppeteer who's making sure that the puppets are all moving, and then stay out of the way. Maybe puppeteer's a bad example, but I want to be the one.
Yeah.
I want to keep everything corralled, but not be in the middle of the rodeo, if you will, And so, the mistake I think they make is they overlook that. So they don't catch that so-and-so was in the corner, didn't meet anybody, or so-and-so, or worse, so-and-so and so-and-so are right next to each other. They definitely need to meet each other. They're perfect for each other, but nobody made sure that connection happened. So what I do is I scan the room all night. I literally, I'll lock in, I'll look, I'll say, I'll see Remington. And then I'll scan 360 degrees around Remington, the first 180, and I'll look for anyone that I can actually think of a commonality that makes sense for me to introduce to Remington. The first thing I'm going to think of is, who does Remington want to meet? So I'm going to be like, Remington wants to meet, affiliates in the industry. And then I'm going to think he's from Indianapolis and he likes sports, or something, right? And I'm going to look and I'm going to be like, oh shoot, so-and-so's from Indiana and an affiliate. And so I'm going to,
man, you got to know your people for that.
And I'm like, yo, you two need to meet. And I do this 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 times. And that's basically all that happens all night, is I make 40 or 50 introductions. So I would say, if you're hosting events, one of the easiest ways to make them effective is make sure that people are connecting with each other. If you're hosting a dinner party, make sure they're just talking. Like, that could just be asking the right questions, or making sure that you pair the right people, or that you match the right energy, and then you could get out of the way.
Yeah.
But some groups need a little bit more corralling and stimulating than and others are more organic. So I think that the organizer needs to pay attention to whether or not the flow and the energy is continuing to grow, or whether they need to throw something in the mix or change something to keep it going. Same with speakers at an event. Like, if the energy's going down, like, I gotta pump this thing up, or I have to go change something, or people are, starting to go like this. I'm gonna go turn the AC down, or they're starting to put their jackets on. You get the idea. Like,
pay attention.
Don't pay attention, metaphorically or literally. And that's, I think, what we need to be doing, is keeping the thing corralled and on the tracks. So after the event, talked about after. I noticed
that, by the way, that last thing you said, I noticed that when I go to other events, when I see the host standing in the corner just watching the party happen, I'm like, at some point, this is going to be a problem. If you're not working your own event, or having somebody who is working your own event, the event is eventually or very quickly going to die unless you're actively working it, no matter what the event is. Paying attention to the the vibe. That's really good. So, but yeah, you tell me about after the event. How do you
after the event? I think it's in the follow-up. What type of follow-up? Was there anything that these people expected? Did you give it to them quickly? Did you ask for feedback? Did you ask for feedback quickly if you're want the feedback? And then, are you actually having the time to not just analyze and synthesize that info? But I would say most people don't debrief after their events. And I would add to that and say, even less people debrief and take notes and keep those. So, for example, we debrief after, like for example, I'm planning my awards gala, and suddenly I can't find the notes from our debrief last year. And I'm thinking, I just finished this event. Almost everything's the same. Flex back at the guy. Everything's the same, but there are questions that I wish I remembered the answers to and can't find the notes. And so I think that's one thing people make the mistake of, is not following up quickly, not learning from their last event and fixing it for their next event.
Feedback is a superpower, man. It's a feedback in every aspect of your business and life. If you can't handle feedback, or you don't care, now listen, you need to pay attention to who you're getting feedback from. Like you said, like who are the agents, who are the people that you're talking to, and what are they telling you? And are you getting feedback from the people that are actually going to help you improve? I love these. Yeah, go ahead.
My bad. You just reminded me of something one of your other guests actually probably said on this show. But Greg Reed always says, seek counsel, not opinions, or seek counsel, not advice.
Yeah.
And counsel is rooted in experience. And so I don't mind asking people for their opinion or their feedback, but I recognize when that feedback is based in just opinion, or when that is actually counsel. So when someone gives you counsel, like, for example, they've been to your events before, or they know about your audience, or they know about the logistics, or they know something about your event, and they give feedback, it's a lot more valuable than just, I wish you did this. I think we often not just don't ask for feedback, but then on the other side, we listen to the wrong people, and just like, we take the feedback so seriously that if I host an event and if somebody says it was too loud, then suddenly I'm like, everybody keep the volume down next year. We change everything based off the one person.
Man, you're saying that. That's so true, though. Man, I see that at church. Like, you got 300 people in a room, and the one person who says this is too loud. Like, we allow the one negative person to affect how we do it for everyone else, and instead of sending a survey to the other 299, and we overcomplicate it.
It's like, we'll put on a jacket and we're going to be fine.
Yeah. Let's
bring
this all together, Aaron, because and this has been killer content. I knew it would be. We've got our first national event. And for 10 years, we've been building franchises. We're in 150 markets now. Orlando was in the first 20. So very, tenured. You remember what number are you?
I think 7. I mean,
number 7.
Whether, because Indy top producer was top producer originally. So I'm like, I feel like we were 6th or 7th, depending on how you want to count. But we were the 7th proof of concept.
So now we're in Orlando, Indianapolis. We're 2 of 150, and we're deciding for the first time to bring it all together for our national event coming in September. It will be an annual event, but this first one's going to be killer. We spent a ton of money on the speakers, and the realtors in the room are elite. What are you excited? You're not only a speaker, but you're selling tickets. You're connecting me with sponsors because you really believe in this thing. What is it about RP Elevate that you're excited about?
I'm excited about Rory Vaden, man. That's what I'm excited. I mean, I'm joking, but I'm not joking. Like, that's one thing I'm excited about. He's one of my favorite authors. Love his books, and I think that would be cool. No, what I'm really excited about is really the idea of bringing together the best of the best around the country. I feel like we're in a unique position where we're directly involved. Like, there's national organizations, but there's very few national organizations that are objective, neutral, look at data, and have relationships with the top 500. There's not, like, brokerages can bring their top agents to something, or, there's other industry organizations that have, wide reaches nationally, but that's very different from having like local roots deep in the local market, sending them to something national. So I'm excited about the concept because, you got to be in the room. People want to sell more real estate. They want to get more referral partners. They want to learn to step up. They want to learn from other agents in other parts of the country. They want to steal marketing ideas and media and content ideas. I'd be stealing them from agents from other states that I meet at RP Elevate. Like, that alone is a reason to meet people, because Remington does some funny thing in Indianapolis. I'm be like, sweet, nobody saw that down here. I'm ripping that, And so I think it's the relationships and the synergy and bringing together the best of the best. So I'm excited about that. Definitely excited to hear Rory Vaden speak. Tom Ferry's going to be awesome. I got to go watch Molly's game, because
you got to watch Molly's game. Aaron Sorkin directed it. It's a fantastic movie, very entertaining, and it's all true. I read her book. Molly was on the show as well, Molly Bloom. You've got 2 people from your market who've actually also been on the show. We just did a webinar with Ken Posick. He's going to be on stage talking about it.
I was about to say, I'm stoked to hear what Ken has to say.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the goats when it comes to content, and
he might be the most recognizable face in YouTube for real estate.
He's probably the most recognizable face in Orlando because of it, and it's crazy for a guy that moved in 2016 to Orlando, to be like, he could run for mayor and win. So,
Juan Carlos Baronecci from Gold Bar Staffing, big time EXP agent. He's one of our platinum sponsors. He's going to be there. So you've got a lot of really cool Orlando presence. I hope from the Orpies, everyone's jacking up.
I heard my guy Jeff Velez is coming out. HWA is going
to that's right.
No, it's gonna be pretty awesome. There's a lot of really good speakers, a lot of really good agents, and I think that's gonna be exciting. And I got a few things to share with the group, and I'm excited to share to this.
That's what I was going to end with, letting everyone know. I'm sure you got a lot. I mean, this was jam-packed full of, note-taking for this podcast. Aaron is a phenomenal speaker, one of the best on stage that I've ever seen, and he's going to be speaking on stage at RP Elevate. The agenda just dropped, rplelevate.com/agenda. You can see it there. Get your tickets today, because there's a good chance we sell out. It's our first one, and we're packing the house. And if you got one thing from this podcast, I would say think of one person you can send this to. We're trying to grow. We're top 5% global. I'd love to be top 4% by the time we hit RP Elevate in Dallas. Aaron, thanks for being on the show, man.
Thank you. See you.
We'll see you next time.